Good afternoon. Latest panel of the day, X Day, day 3. And we have a super exciting setup here. To my very left, we have Nuno Correia from X Money. Super excited to have you.
Happy to be here.
Oliver Jeffcott, who joins us from London, from MoonPay. And Russel Shen from Huobi. All right, let's get started. Let's start with a question where all of you can chip in a bit. I would like to talk about custody. So let's get started. Why is custody important for crypto?
I can start?
No, I think you start.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Last day, everybody's a bit tired, but hopefully it's not going to be a boring talk. Yeah, I think custody is important because if you look at the market in general, 99% of the crypto users are not that knowledgeable about doing self-custody. So platforms that remove the difficulty and the deep knowledge of self-custody for users and do that for them allow broader adoption and allow more users from retail to tap in this market in a super easy way that they are already used to in other applications, basically. So I think it's important in order to onboard the next billion people to have also the custody part of business that allows them to come in very easily. And I'll pass the word to you.
Hey guys, it's lovely to be here. Yeah, I think custody it's a really interesting one. It's obviously a core pillar. I mean, it's been a core pillar of the traditional finance space now for generations. And I think it's a way in which, everybody that comes into this space, it's probably one of the first things that, especially from a retail consumer point of standpoint, you will see a wallet. You need to understand, what is the risk involved, what is the educational piece, how do I get involved with this space? It's generally one of the first touch points and one of the core pillars around onboarding more people into this space. And so the ability to have custody, whether it's self-custody, as you mentioned, Nuno, or obviously having third-party solutions to be able to custody those assets on your behalf, I think it's really important to give that flexibility. And I think it's really important in terms of how we can actually onboard the other 99%, as you've mentioned, into this space really effectively, seamlessly, and in a way that people can trust.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Russell?
Very cool. I think custody similar to a bank, if I'm using the right example. But to have our assets somewhere and keep it safe is the foundation for further progress into anything, really. Once we have a safe place to keep our asset, we can then allocate them to where we desire. And it is the first step onto a broader spectrum of Web3 opportunities and possibilities.
Totally. It's
Correct.
the first step. First, obviously, you need to simplify things for user. Then the end game should be obviously the self-custody. But I think we are still a bit far away from everybody in the world being able to self-custody their funds. This needs to be a bridge in between, allows people to tap into Web3 in a way that they're already doing traditional finance. Then from there, they will probably evolve. We have obviously the example of MyR wallet.
Yeah.
And then they will experiment things and get more knowledgeable and comfortable by obviously owning their own funds.
For sure, and I think also custody, of course, helps speed up adoption for crypto. So all your companies are somewhat connected to user custody.
Yeah.
So my next question here is for Oliver. I have a question on on-ramp and off-ramp solutions. If you could quickly describe the two notions and then expand on on-ramp solutions and how MoonPay is important for the startup founders in the audience.
Sure. So MoonPay's vision essentially is to be able to give anyone ownership. And I think it's a really, really vital and important mission in getting mass adoption within the space of Web3. In terms of on-ramps, obviously, they're a vital part in terms of getting people into the system, giving people actual exposure to crypto. within MoonPay specifically, we want to be able to enable our, especially retail users through our retail products and services, to be able to onboard seamlessly and effectively and cost efficiently around the world. It's equally as vitally important for people that both have crypto assets and want to come back into a fiat asset as well. It's vitally important that this is, again, seamless, easy, understandable, and familiar. The products and services that we're building today, MoonPay is one of the world's leading Web3 infrastructure providers today. And what we're aiming to do is to be able to help people come in and out of this space as needed in the most friendly and familiar way possible. A really great example of this is, across our hundreds of partners around the globe, MoonPay acts essentially as a bit of a passport, whereby a user can go through one flow, for example, with Maya Wallet, for example. You're able to go through that KYC flow in an automated and easy manner. And from that point, you can then go through to any of our other partners and easily onboard, on-ramp, off-ramp seamlessly. I think that's vital to allowing more people in and out of that space, and equally gives people the ability, especially in terms of the younger builders that are coming to this space today and tomorrow. Payments infrastructure and payment stacks, they're incredibly hard to make, and even more so, they're incredibly hard to run, and build. So our ability to take away and abstract the complexities of payments, and especially within crypto payments, is vital to allow people to focus on the core building of infrastructure.
Very interesting. I actually want to have a follow-up from Russell here. So we're in France, right? And there's a number of also on-ramp solutions here. For an exchange, on-ramp, of course, is very important to gather users. We recently heard the news of Justin Sun also being involved now with Huobi, which is super exciting. We also heard he was interested in what we're doing here today with Multiverse X in Paris. How would you expand on the concept of on-ramps for an exchange specifically? Is it a vital element of the infrastructure?
So I believe it will be. So exchange essentially adds liquidity to all the tokens, and without really liquidity, it's hard to efficiently allocate all your asset. And on-ramp and off-ramp is addition to liquidity, because essentially, if we're only trading within a pool of tokens, we're still lacking a connection to daily spendings. For example, when we go to grocery shops or go to a haircut, for example, like in Miami, I could get a haircut by paying USDT, which is very interesting, but majority of retailers do not accept them just yet, and it's hard to use crypto. Essentially, I think in the future, it will be fluent. So it will be a big component, I believe, in the exchange aspect as well.
Super interesting. I think that goes a bit into the recent announcements with X Money, Nuno. So maybe you can talk a bit about that,
Sure.
and also start talking about the difference with stablecoins and fiat for merchants. I believe
Sure.
that could be interesting.
Sure. I agree with you. We are still in the early days of native crypto payments. By native, I refer to on-chain payments. When a user pays something and the transaction is processed on-chain, on the blockchain itself, whether the user is using a self-custody wallet or an exchange or wherever, that transaction goes in a blockchain. On the other side, there's a merchant that accepts those funds. This is what we do basically at Utrust, now X Money. It can significantly decrease the friction of payments, specifically cross-border payments, somebody from China paying to somebody from the US, for example. It significantly reduces the costs of the transactions. It's faster, and obviously you don't have the fraud component of chargebacks. Also, much higher limits. I mean, if you want to pay something, a 50K transaction with a card, Visa or MasterCard probably will block that transaction for security reasons. With crypto, there are no limits of amounts of transactions. Basically, it's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. This is in a nutshell what we do at Utrust. We allow merchants to accept crypto payments. On the merchant side, we either convert to fiat, so it's business as usual for them, or we convert to stablecoins. We also accept stablecoins on the buyer side. We do believe at Utrust that stablecoins is a massive component of growth for e-commerce when it comes to crypto payments. and also for businesses that operate globally. Cross-border transactions are very, very difficult. I will give again the example, China to US or wherever country. If they are doing business, money usually flows in a very, very slow and limited way. With a stable coin, for example, I can send something to another country and it arrives in seconds. And obviously that business gets the money, then they can give you the counterpart in a seamless way. This is obviously because banks have their operating hours. Banks obviously have their native currencies wherever country they are in. They obviously connect to multiple networks to do the operations. This takes several days. If we start using crypto for these operations, it becomes much more cheaper, faster, and safer. And I think a lot of companies are starting to see this and even preferring doing business in crypto rather than in a fiat currency. We know that in fact because obviously we have thousands of merchants that use us specifically for cross-border business purposes. But again, we are still in the 1%, as you mentioned. We cannot go everywhere and use our crypto in a seamless way. We are in the process of educating people. And people, when they actually use something for so long, they get used to it, even if it's not the best. They just get used to it because that's how the world works. So it's a process of educating users, and obviously the best technologies will survive. And nothing against banks, obviously, and Visa and MasterCard. I think they are great. It's just I think that everything, even them, will somehow use blockchain technology or will somehow have to transition to this technology in some years to be more efficient. Yeah, and that's basically it. Relating stablecoins, I think they are very important because obviously they remove the volatility. They have the cryptocurrency properties and efficiency, but they also remove the volatility and allow us to do business in a much comfortable way when it comes to the speculative side of the market.
Thank you, Nuno. My next question is for Russell. With the growth of decentralized exchanges, decentralized wallets, the metaverse, the ultiverse, right? How do you believe the role of exchanges, not just with regards to custody, how do you think the role and the responsibility of exchanges is going to evolve over the next few years?
Sure. So first, let me actually build on what Bruno said. I really like the remittance components. And regarding on-ramp and off-ramp, I actually did a research report on that as well. So in China, just to give some specific numbers, I believe that you can only send 50,000 to someone to the US, which is often less than what tuition costs for a lot of students. So it is a huge issue, and you can go through places like Singapore or Hong Kong. They generally charge a 1% or at least 0.8% fee, which is kind of outrageous if it's a big sum. And it takes days, sometimes even get lost. So I also, when we look at during COVID, the pandemic, a lot of people, immigrants in the States, they were getting those support checks from the government, and they were trying to send the money back to, especially Mexico, to support their family. And I believe for the first year, it was 16 or 18% of them were sending money through crypto. So I think it's a very important component in people's life, in helping their family. I think that's something that crypto was able to achieve that traditional finance was not able to do before. But regarding the role that exchange plays in the whole growth of Web3, I think ultimately, like I previously said, I think without putting a value onto things, it's hard to know what things are worth. And with exchange, assets are able to be allocated effectively, money flow to better projects, so the strong grows stronger. And that's for the projects, and for the investors, obviously, they make a handsome return, then they're able to help newer startups to really break their obstacles and become strong project. Obviously, for retail investors, they are able to have a different asset class to be investing in for different macro environments. So I think ultimately it's a win-win-win situation for everybody. I believe that without exchange, it's hard to value things, it's hard to allocate your asset, and there will be much less flow of capital and much less growth.
Totally.
Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you. All of your projects are somewhat connected, related to money, users, custody, right? The concept of competition in crypto and Web3 is quite different than it is in Web2. I believe we are very collaborative in the Web3 space. How do you guys think the different projects of yours are complementary with each other?
I can touch on that. I mean, we work with MoonPay, we work with Huobi. So obviously, Huobi is one of our liquidity providers because we do exchange operations within the platform. MoonPay is the gateway, the fiat on-ramp for users that want to buy our token. So I don't think there's competition in Web3. You always try to work with nice partners and build something together and bring value. I think the three of us, different companies, we bring value to each other one way or another. So I don't necessarily see us being as tough as Web2, where everybody's like enemies of everybody. And because also this industry is very young. We by default need to help each other and work with each other because we are so small that if we fight within each other, we are going to die early instead of succeeding. And that's how I see it, basically.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can kind of add to that, I think, is it's so powerful to see that complete cross-community, cross-vertical collaboration between partners, across exchanges, wallets, payments, and infrastructure. I think without that, we'll never get to a place in which we can have mass adoption, and we need to work together. Obviously, there will be an element of competition because that is what keeps markets healthy, and it keeps, at the end of the day, us providing the best services, products to end users, institutions, partners, for example, and we can only kind of continue to build on that and grow from there.
I mean, I fully agree. I think some healthy competition is healthy. It makes us, eager to produce better service, better product, and but in different industries such as us, we work together. Web3 essentially right now is still a very small community, a very young industry, and we need to be able to onboard more, and we need to have people welcome us, and we need to work close to achieve that.
Thank you. Maybe talk about one specific success story or one specific challenge you faced over the last year in each of your three companies, please. Starting with
I can
you.
start, yeah. And challenges, I mean, we get a lot of challenges, regulatory-wise, product-wise. I mean, it's a normal day-to-day thing when you are building powerful products. For example, we got the license of the Central Bank of Portugal as a crypto company. That was very, very powerful. Obviously, it took a long time because, I mean, it's still a novelty, right? Crypto for regulators and for central banks even more, right? Some achievement that comes to my head, us joining Elrond, being acquired by Elrond. I mean, we are much stronger now, growing much faster. It's an entirely different ballgame. Last week, we closed a deal with the city of Lugano. We process tax payments for them. I mean, you can pay. Just as an example, I mean, you can pay taxes with crypto. The government actually accepts that. I mean, another great achievement. And then obviously we have other achievements, but it's a struggle on a daily basis. But then you have the low, the high points. But at the end of the day, I think the curve is always like this. We keep pushing. Could be here minutes talking about like different things.
If I may add to that, we have a lot of young founders in the audience. Just so you know, after a couple of years, it does not get easier.
No,
right?
no, it gets
Gets worse.
Yeah, but in a good way. I mean, then you look back and you feel really happy. But it's obviously a tough choice to be an entrepreneur or to work in this industry because it's a very fast-paced industry. But it's a choice of life. And if you like high velocity, this is the industry for you. If you like low-paced things, Web2 is for you. So it depends on the choice of each one, basically. And it comes also for the investors as well. can invest in traditional stock market or you can invest in crypto. The pain and the joy that you will feel, it's completely different. The emotions are completely different. So
I believe, Oliver, you came from Web 2 and are moved to Web 3 the last year. What were your challenges and successes you can talk to us about?
Yeah, I think kind of as a whole, it's a really difficult concept. MoonPay Group today, we've onboarded millions of users into the space. Payments is difficult. Crypto payments, I guess, is a little step above that and continues to expand, as an ecosystem. And so, some of the challenges, I think, obviously, is to touch on what Nuno was saying, the regulatory piece, legislation, working with governments. We operate currently in well over 150 countries. That comes with its own challenges as a business, and we've obviously had to expand. We're a remote-first business, so we work, obviously, across from the US, across Europe, across Asia, for example. And that does come with its challenges. I think one of the really positive things that I've seen from this is the culture, within our business and equally within the partners that we work with. It's amazing to see the collaborative nature of what people are able to achieve when working together. And I think it's incredibly powerful. Some of the benefits and some of the really positive things that I've seen, we've partnered with a number of exchanges. An example of this most recently was AAX, for example, to enable them to expand across Asia. To enable them to expand across the US and Europe. Obviously, they have a very wide presence in Asia today. Giving them that flexibility to onboard new users in new countries with local payment methods, be it credit cards, debit cards, APMs. It's really exciting to see, and it's really positive to be able to be part of that growth and to help everybody else from large institutions all the way down to young builders, founders, entrepreneurs that want to come into this space and focus on their core business.
So for Huobi, I guess we obviously, as a very big organization, there has been quite a few controversial topics surrounding the exchange, starting with the China government banning Huobi in China. A lot of challenges, obviously, but we are striking through a lot of things, expanding internationally. I'm responsible for the American markets, and we have a strong team in Europe as well. We're expanding quickly, building up relationships with a lot of different layer ones, building close relationship with top tier service providers. And of course, recently, as everybody must seen, with the latest acquisition, we are reshaping our entire company, doing streamlining. We have from, I think, maybe 2 years ago, we had about 6,000 employees, 5,000 to 6,000, which is extremely large. To now, we have about 2,000, I think. So, and we're still cutting people in a good way because people are getting into better opportunities, hopefully. And we're more agile than ever, and we're focusing on the long-term aspect of things. We're here to support growth, support marketing efforts, to build lasting relationships, and hopefully create win-win situations across the board.
I believe something that I can say on behalf of all the audience is that we were very happy for foreign exchanges to look at Europe and for you guys to build business teams in Europe. That's super exciting, and I think it deserves a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Crypto doesn't have many borders, right, compared to Web 2, and all of your projects and companies actually, benefit from users from all over the world. Is there any specific markets where you were able to have freedom in terms of regulation and legislation, where you were really able to build a great community? And are there other regions of the world where you're struggling to impose your products into the audiences? Maybe you can talk to us about that, please.
I think definitely from a project perspective, wherever you are based, is going to be, your audience will be around your base, right, from the get-go. In our case, I think our presence in Europe is quite big, but when it comes to other regions, it's not that big yet, although we are working on that. And why? Because today, it's completely different than 10 years ago, that you could simply operate in any countries. There was no regulation to stop you from doing that. Today is a bit more complex. If you look at the US market, it's a complex market that you have to get licensed state by state. It's a complex operation. So if you really want to go to that market, you need to make sure you are very, very comfortable in your own market. Because if you want to go with the complexity that today of getting into new markets due to regulation, if you want to go to all over the place at the same time, you will not be successful in none of those places. So at least from our perspective, we are solidifying our European presence, obviously looking at other markets, mostly the North American market, that we do believe there is a lot of demand for cryptocurrency payments there. Latin America is also a great market. We have some merchants there, obviously. But yeah, but it's complex. I think first, it takes some time for you to build up a solid ground on your region, and then you can definitely bet on other regions in a more comfortable way. And I don't know if obviously for others is the same, but at least for us, because things changed a lot in the last 10 years, the regulation is obviously stopping us from moving faster to those regions. There's a lot at stake if you want to go to those regions. That's why you need to be a bit more cautious.
Yeah, I think that's really, really well put.
Thank you.
I think something I can probably add to that as well from a MoonPay perspective is, we've focused a lot traditionally on, North America, Europe to begin. I think we have quite a strong presence there. One area in which we have expanded to recently is Brazil, by connecting with a new alternative payment method, Pix. This is a real beneficial thing for people locally. Obviously, we are all about conversion. At the end of the day, with payments, you want to get from A to B as seamlessly, as quickly, and as effectively as possible, with the lowest cost. And one of these big barriers is obviously, depending on credit cards and debit cards, in some areas, obviously that conversion can be higher or lower, depending on the region. And so by adding additional payment methods, whether it's local banking rails or alternative payment methods such as Pix in Brazil, it's really exciting, and it gives us an ability to onboard more people into this space and go to market faster in different countries. As a business, we are looking to expand into other areas, and we are continuing to do so, although we do currently have a very good global coverage to date. However, that can always be improved for our users at the end of the day. We're always looking for ways in which we can add new payment methods and to onboard people more seamlessly.
Well said. Well, for Huobi, really, we are one of the oldest exchange out there. I think we just celebrated 10 years or 12 years. It's been a long time, and we used to, at one time, were responsible for 75% of all trading. So massive presence in Asia still, even with what's happening in China. But I would say, with regulation, with difficulties comes opportunities as well. Even though China itself, mainland China, have posed difficulties for crypto, for the whole industry, really. But then we see that Hong Kong recently pushed out policies that are very supportive of investing and engaging in blockchain, in NFTs. So I truly believe that this is a necessary step regarding things becoming more compliant. It is a good sign that we are entering the big stage, that people are paying attention to us, that we can no longer be ignored, and we are becoming a major industry that people, even more traditional companies and monies, capitals are entering. So, of course, we as Huobi are trying to expand internationally. Like you said, without borders, we're trying to get in Europe, get in US, and we try to have a really big presence there. And there are difficulties, but the difficulties are good as well, I truly believe.
Thank you. So my next question is for Oliver and Russell. You guys are also working with other chains, except for Multiverse X, and you have had interactions and have built products that cater also to other chains. We're obviously here at X Day. We've had 3 super exciting days with tons of announcements. How important is Multiverse X for you and for your products? How hard are you betting on this ecosystem, and how can we, as the community, also be involved in the success?
state this.
Oh, yeah.
I think, as a MoonPay, as a group, we are chain agnostic. Our ultimate vision is to be able to onboard as many people into this space as possible. However, we've supported eGold, for example, for a number of years, and we've been very, very early to be able to support a number of partners within this ecosystem. It's a fantastic ecosystem. Just by being around in this conference space today and over the last couple of days, it's really exciting to see what's being built across a number of different verticals, including the likes of exchanges, wallets, payments, gaming, especially. There's a whole bunch of different builders and entrepreneurs here, from very, very small to very, very large, that are going to make a real impact over the next 2 or 3 to 5 years. And I think it's been incredibly impressive to see, and we want to continue those relationships and build on those in the future.
Amazing.
So, first of all, I'm very thankful to be invited here as a speaker. Myself personally, actually haven't been in the industry for too long, coming from a traditional finance background. But as soon as I got in, I was very pleasantly surprised by the innovation, the brilliant ideas that the entrepreneurs are pushing out every day. I truly think that Web3 is shaping our world for the future. And for Huobi, obviously, we operate in 2 capacities. First is listing. By listing a token, the project can acquire more liquidity, acquire more capital. It's also a great marketing tool to be really in front of their investors and their customers. Another component is investing. We have a very strong venture arm, and we are very happy to be involved, to be supporting innovative projects to become greater.
Very exciting. Well, we're very happy that you're both very involved in the Multiverse X ecosystem. Nuno, Utrust is how old? When was it founded?
The idea, end of 2016, we founded it in 2017.
Okay, so
Have 7-something years.
you've been around for a while,
Yeah.
and I believe that the audience who's already been here since 2016, 2017, they've known Utrust for a while.
Yeah.
You've taken a big bet to join the Multiverse X family, and I believe the community has been very receptive of what you guys have achieved. How have things changed within your team? How are you making use of the resources that Multiverse X has to offer? And also, lastly, yesterday we saw a lot of cool new stuff being announced. How excited are you, and what can we expect from this collaboration, which is amazing?
Yeah, obviously, I'm super excited. I have some knowledge when it comes to obviously blockchains and teams and what they can or cannot build. At Utrust, we have a working product for several years, a good one. So I kind of see what's good and bad in this industry. And I think Elrond, compared to a lot of other blockchains, is much superior when it comes to obviously performance and obviously the products that are built on top of it. I think that would be also good as a side note for some of the Elrond community members to also use products of other blockchains that are bigger sometimes, just to understand the complexity that's involved around Elrond products and how good they are. Because I sense some people, they only use that, so they have it as granted. But I on a daily basis, try to use a lot of stuff, and to be honest, there's a complete, and there's a big gap when it comes to products. Also, the Elrond team is great. I mean, very capable tech-wise, and obviously then we have the business development team and all of that. But the technology around it is really solid. So knowing that, and obviously knowing that we are going to push even more products to the market, I expect them to be the quality that we are used to have, and are spoiled sometimes to have in a good way. So yeah, I'm very excited. On our side, obviously, alongside with TwistPay, we have X money to deliver. It's going to be an enhanced product of what we have already to tackle a wider market. So not only I'm excited for X money, one of the components, but for the ecosystem in general. And obviously, I invite the community members to test other blockchains. I think it's important to test everything around you just to understand where you should put your effort and your beliefs into. And yeah, this being said, I'm super excited. I'm confident about the team. I know the L1 team for some years now. Obviously, I'm part of the team now. I don't want to brag because I don't like to do it, but I'm really confident on the capabilities of a team as human beings and as pushers. So now let's see what we will deliver and let's see how it goes. But
I believe the audience is definitely happy to hear that we're all confident.
Yeah,
Amazing. So we have 2 more questions. One topic that we've covered a lot in these conversations the last few days is the metaverse, right? How do you believe your products and solutions will be shaped, and how will they, cater this new wave of metaverse products that will come to the space? Maybe Russell, you want to start? How does an exchange look like in a metaverse, and what are the implications?
Sure. So exchange support, I suppose exchange supports mostly in the background of the metaverse development, as we're not as technical. But once again, I think metaverse would, like the world we're living in, I suppose that if we're not living in a metaverse already, we will have monetary tokens, which needs to be, have liquidity to be transferred from person to person, and exchange does exactly that. And we're also happy to be investing in metaverse projects. And I think from exchange standpoint, we're less involved in that. We're supporting it, but we're less involved in building it.
Mm-hmm. But custody, of course, remains super important also in the metaverse. And
Yes.
I'm sure that exchanges will have an important role to play.
Yep.
Thanks, Russell. Oliver, how about MoonPay?
I think for us, especially within the metaverse and for a number of these, within the X metaverse, for example, it's about getting people in there, right, in a seamless way. All these very large companies are starting to build these great metaverse experiences, but at the end of the day, they're not useful if nobody can get in and actually use them and utilize them in a way that is familiar, engaging. If you have to go and interact with 7 or 8 different steps or 10 steps to be able to actually on board, get in and do what you were setting out to do in the first place, that's it's a very difficult user experience, right? And that's what we're aiming to do with our products and services. Obviously with the traditional cryptocurrency Onramps, but equally with one of our newer products, NFT Checkout, which is obviously the ability to be able to purchase an NFT directly with fiat, with a credit card or a debit card. It's products like these that are going to be able to enable people and empower people to make the most of these metaverse experiences and actually deliver real world value, both digitally and in the physical world as well. And I think that's going to be really important.
Exciting, thank you. So we're here in Paris. A large portion of the L1 community is French-speaking, and it's been super exciting to see the ecosystem grow at such a high pace here in this country. How important is France for your products? What do you encourage founders to do, to make use of your solutions to grow their companies and be the next successful founders? Maybe we can start with Russell, and then Oliver and Nuno, you can finish.
Sure. So Europe is one of our focus. A lot of really good projects coming out, very decent development. I think Europe being one of the most supportive region for Web3 has a lot of opportunity for us to be involved. We definitely are looking to be engaging with projects that are local to France, to be listing projects our exchange, to be doing a lot of co-marketing events to promote. And we are also pretty much a gateway for French projects to access the Asian market as well, to connect us in a global scale. And of course, there comes the investing component as well. We would like to invest and get to know more projects. we have pretty high hope for Europe, and it's definitely a focus from now on.
Amazing. Thank you. Oliver?
Yeah, to add to that, I think for MoonPay, it's obviously France and Europe is obviously one of our large markets where we have a number of customers. I think we're very, very open to working with people, especially from France. Obviously, I think the government and the French government especially have done a really, really great job of actually fostering the Web3 community within Paris and within France as a whole. And we'd love to be able to speak to more founders, more entrepreneurs, more builders within the space that are really looking to add value. And we can help in a number of ways, be that products and services, through to marketing products, or equally just educating people that want to get into the space and potentially don't necessarily know how or what are the right steps. We have a lot of tacit knowledge within the space, within our wider team, and we'd love to be able to support partners in any way that we can.
Thank you. Nuno, want to finish off?
Yeah, I mean, really quickly, France has been historically a flagship for liberty, right? And for innovation. So obviously, I love the country, I love the people, the food, but that's, I mean, not related to crypto. But when we talk about crypto, what matters is historically how France behaves when new things come across. And I think the French people, our French community is very open-minded. As historically proven, have been always open-minded. You can see also regulators are super open-minded, probably the most open-minded in Europe. So it's nice to be here, where you are welcome, people don't judge you, people embrace innovation. I think other countries in Europe will definitely follow. They always follow the innovator, so let's see how it goes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys.
You guys.
Appreciate it. Great talk.
Well done, huh?